career transition, my intro there is to say I escaped from corporate about 10 years ago. And when I went out to try, if you want to pass these around, when I went out as kind of my own consultant, I realized that I was really poor at networking. So I started going to career transition and to learn how to network. And I went to career transition and I forgot to leave. At that point, I believe Mike was doing the, were you doing the intro for Stephen Ministry when I started? Okay. So I started going, and it's somewhere in there I was also became a Stephen minister, and Hal or Mike were there every Monday night to introduce Stephen Ministry, and they'd come to church, speak for 5 minutes, and then leave. I said, well, I'm here to learn, so I might as well just take over. And, you know, the problem when you volunteer for something, right, is, but it's not a problem. I have really grown to love being at Career Transition and helping out. It's, you know, working with people that are at a very, very hard place in life usually. Most of our attendees are over 40. And ageism is very, very real, and trying to find a job, whether it's because they're old, whether because they're expecting too much salary, or just a lot of people that come in, they haven't been in the job market for 10 and 20 years, and it has changed amazingly how you find a job. So it is really, it is a blessing to be there to help those people at that point. And so Career Transition, we're not a placement group. We don't place people, we don't have jobs. All we are a support group. We're hybrid. You can attend by Zoom, or you can attend in person over at Buchanan House. We have, you know, prior to COVID, it was here and there was a much higher attendance. But after COVID, it turned out that Alcoholics Anonymous and Career Transition were the only Monday night events. So they shut down the mothership and they put us in Buchanan House. Well, Alcoholics Anonymous is a very quiet group. If you get where I'm going. Career Transition is not. We start with a half hour of networking, and it's very lively networking. And the acoustics in Buchanan House, I mean, I don't know how old that house is, 100, 150 years old or something like that. The acoustics do not absorb sound. So Monday night, Alcoholics Anonymous found a new home. They tried to put up with us, and we tried to get people to be a little bit quiet, but you'd have to be not talking to not be heard. So we're alone in Buchanan House on Monday nights. These days, between Zoom and in person, we have 15 to 25 people. Not like the big heyday, you know, 20 years ago in 2008. There were like 200 plus people that came to Career Transition. And there were I think there were a lot less resources to help people, and there was a much higher unemployment rate in Middle Tennessee at the time too. So we're not creating that type of support to the community, but what we are creating is support for a very crucial group. So again, some networking, some visiting, and some just presentation time. We have a speaker. Every week we have a speaker who comes in, or the main facilitator is Jay Gorman. I don't know if you know Jay, but he's the main facilitator. He's been doing it about 7, 8 years. And then I help out, and then we have Krista Simpson, who helps online. She's been doing it about 10 years, an amazing content writer, and she does all of our LinkedIn support. And then she runs the Zoom chat, and just some wonderful spiritual messages in there for the folks that are on Zoom, and it really is special. So finding a job is very, very different than 10 years ago. Ageism is alive and it's well. Challenges, lots of experience and used to the high salary. So it's kind of helping people talk to, okay, where can you go? What can you do? And one of the challenges, especially with the younger people that come in, is they think if you go on Indeed.com, put your information in there, you're going to get a job. And they really do think that. I mean, there are people, and not just the young people, but there are people that sit home all day and do applications on Indeed.com and ZipRecruiter and all the other things. The problem is it's so easy to submit an application. So people, they'll apply for 1 million jobs, whether they're, you know, qualified or not. So as a job seeker, if you're looking, you're one of 1,000 applicants. And you've got AI choosing what applicants get presented to the hiring manager. So the chances of, you know, and of course now there's a whole science behind, okay, how do you influence AI by what you put in your resume and all this, and so it's a crapshoot if you're counting on getting a job through the applicant tracking systems by just putting it online. So it's to us it's all about networking and get people out and networking, and a lot of our clients or attendees are not people that are real comfortable networking. And as I wasn't when I started coming, you know, and it's hard, but it's really the easiest way to find a job, as hard as it is. And so when people come in, we're telling them, you know, it's number one, looking for a job is a full-time job. You can't just sit there at the computer for 4 hours a day or 2 a week and expect to find a job. It's really, you just got to put your mind to it. You got to you've got to do the applicant tracking systems. You got to have your information on the systems, but you got to get out there and meet people. We do have a volunteer list. We've got about 12 people on our volunteer list, all of us whom will go and sit with you and have coffee and give you ideas, brainstorm. We've got people that will review resumes, help you with cover letters, help you with, what we call now the biggest tool we have is the personal marketing brief, which is on the back of here. And to explain that is when you're networking, or if you say you go to a friend, your neighbor, okay, I'm looking for a job in technology. Your neighbor has no idea what to do with that, right? I mean, it's a crapshoot that they can grasp what you're looking for. And so, and the resume is not a networking tool. The resume is the basic minimum that you have to get a job. Every employer is going to require a resume. Some people even read it. So the personal marketing brief is giving people in your network a way to grasp how can they help you. Because your neighbor wants to help you, right? But they don't know. I mean, they just, especially if you're not in technology, if you say, I want something in technology, they have no idea what that means and how to help you. So the personal marketing brief starts to give them some things that they can grasp onto. My favorite part of this is the bottom section, is target companies or target industries, or maybe even target contacts, titles, something that, you know, for example, if you put down Tractor Supply, and all of a sudden your neighbor goes, hey, I know the hiring manager over at Tractor Supply, right? You've given them a way to help you by giving them more information. So we're always pushing this new form. It was presented to us, I don't even remember where it came, but about 5 years ago, I think is when we first learned about this structure. But it is just phenomenal, and if people want help creating it, it partly helps with your elevator, introducing yourself. Who am I? What am I looking for? Right? A lot of people have trouble verbalizing it. You know, we go into the elevator pitch. The elevator pitch is a 60-second pitch, not a lifetime explanation, right? And so it's helping people just go through this and narrowing down and making your presentation very succinct but very meaningful. And you're welcome to stop me anytime you want. You know, and then the interview process. Of course, everybody loves the interview process, right? So it's getting harder. Now you can interview with a computer. That you sit there in your computer and you're talking to a computer, and the computer is asking you questions, and there's no human. And then AI will digest your interview and see, oh, is this person worthy? Do I think, as a computer, do I think you're worthy to pass on to the next stage, right? So it is not, I mean, getting a job, especially a professional level job, is getting harder and harder. So we come back, it's all about networking. We've got the volunteer list. We help people identify their networks. We had one speaker said he had a woman came in that he was working with, and she said, I don't have a network. He said, oh, you don't have any neighbors? You don't have any family? People at church don't know you? And all of a sudden he was helping her understand, oh, I do have a network. And now how can I work my network? But you know, people have preconceived notions, especially people who haven't been on the job market for 20 years. And so this is the types of things we do. The things we go through on the back of this, the top section is what we call the toolbox. You know, looking for a job now is no longer just a resume and a cover letter. In fact, I don't even have a cover letter on this list for the toolbox. It is really not that big of a deal anymore. It used to be a big deal. Last time I looked for a job, writing the cover letter was harrowing. And you know, and it's just not that big of a deal anymore as far as what people look for. So, but you got to have your elevator pitch. You got to have your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is huge now. Almost anybody, if you're looking for a job or someone's looking for a job, a hiring manager or even a networked person will go and look at your LinkedIn profile. I mean, it is so major now. Certainly still the resume, but the resume is a little less important than it used to be, though it's still important. The personal marketing brief, a networking plan. How are you going to fill your day? How are you going to go find networking? Okay, you've exhausted this group of people this week. What are you going to do next week? You got to get out. You got to start talking to people. You got to meet people. Interview preparation, and then follow-up. People don't even think about following up after an interview. You know, they walk out the door and they'll say, oh, either I don't have the job or I hope I have the job, and then they'll go on. But the follow-up is just so critical. You know, you've got to do anything you can to stand out. But so we have speakers come in. Jay does an amazing job of finding people, and they talk about networking or LinkedIn profiles or interviewing, resume preparation. We have recruiters that come in and say, this is how you can work with a recruiter. We've got people that come in and talk about how to keep a positive attitude during this time. Help people that help identify what are your job skills now. What can you market? How to use AI. How to use AI to help you do work the job. And that's, I mean, AI, of course, I don't know if you guys are using it very much now or not, but as far as looking at who's hiring, what kind of jobs, what are the companies, how do I write my resume? You know, you can put in your resume and it'll spit out some suggestions. The interviewing, you can say, okay, what are the top 10 interview questions? And of course, that's, you know, number one, tell me about yourself. Everybody hates that one. And the other is, what are your greatest weaknesses? Right? So, but what you can do is you can put, get the top 10 interview questions in AI and then turn around and say, okay, now how do I answer these questions? And it gives you ideas on how to answer it. I mean, it's a lot of fun if you're using it. We've got people that come in from the Williamson Inc., the Chamber of Commerce for Williamson County. He comes in at least once a year and talks about the state of the job market in Williamson County. Sharon Cox has been in to do her transitions, which is a phenomenal. In fact, who's the new pastor? Young woman. No. She was just ordained this summer. Oh, Wesley, thank you. Hello. Wesley, Sharon is no longer doing her presentation, so Wesley came in and did her transitions preparation a couple weeks ago. And then storytelling. We've got, y'all ever remember Jim Gilchrist? He used to be on television around here. And you probably remember him. He's been coming to Career Transition for I don't know how long. But he used to be a news broadcaster here in Middle Tennessee. And he comes in at least once a year and talks to people about how storytelling, how do you make yourself stand out in an interview? And he'll just teach you how to tell a story. Instead of just giving facts, you tell a story and it makes you more memorable. And he's just, it's so much fun to listen to him tell. So that's really all the facts. We need volunteers. As you, number one, we need attendees. If you ever hear of anybody that's out of a job, looking for a job, we're here almost every Monday night. We're always looking for people to speak about anything around the ecosystem of finding a job or supporting, during a job, or how do I just do it? We're looking for people to actually be as speakers, not just find speakers. So if any of you have anything that you're interested in talking about to a career searching group, people to go on the volunteer list to help sit with people and brainstorm. And it's just kind of leading them, asking questions, and just being a friend to them for an hour or two about themselves and how can they present themselves and all that. Facilitate the meetings. I think Jay is probably going to be retiring or cutting back. And he does the hardest thing. He finds the speakers and schedules them. I do the easy part of just setting up the tech and probably facilitating the meetings, but finding the speakers and keeping them all doing so. If anybody's interested in another, or if you know somebody in your ecosystem that might be, come and do it for a season. It's really rewarding. It's a lot of fun. Have I talked fast enough and long enough? the damn Yankee in me, Jane.
How do you find out, like you said that you're here almost every night, Monday night, so can you go online and find out?
Sometimes when we keep the calendar updated, if you're on our mailing list, there are about 550 people. We send out an email every week. In fact, send out twice, once on the weekend and once on Monday. About are we meeting, and if so, this is what we're doing. Goes out on LinkedIn also. Look for someone on social media to help with the rest of it. Instagram, Facebook, to do a lot of the other.
Is there a contact info on the church website for it? Or?
There is. If you go to Career Transition, it flips out to our website. We finally, one of our volunteers built our external website since it's so hard getting resource internally. So we just got them to program the link that shoots us out to our website. But you can go to Career Transition on the BUMC website.
This is it on the bottom.
Pardon?
This is it.
Bumc.weebly.com?
Yes.
There you go, Bumc Career. Yes. Hang on, Ian had a question.
Okay, about how many did you say come every week?
15 to 25.
Okay, and then how many are online on top of that? Or is that?
That's it. That's online and in person. It's not a huge ministry right now, but it's yeah. So.
You do such an amazing job. We get so many care receivers from Scott's interaction, and just being there and being a friendly face, it's huge for those people.
Well, I talk about at the beginning of every meeting, and I admonish people that, God did not intend for us to go through hardship or good times alone, and don't go it alone. And I tell them also, watch out for your neighbors. Keep track of people that are in your network or in your ecosystem. So if it looks like, they might need help, go ahead and stick your nose in their business and tell them there's this great program.
Yeah. We appreciate you for doing that.
Well, it's
It makes a big difference.
I mean, I had one attendee recently that she showed up the first time on a very, very bad day. And it was just to be able to just kind of be a lifeline right then when she needed it. It was very, that'll keep me going for months, being at the right place at the right time. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned working with people that are struggling because of ageism and trying to get back into the market. Do you also work with, young people that are trying to get to the market for the first time?
Yeah, we'll work with anybody. I'll sit and talk. It's interesting working with the new graduates or the younger folks. It's trying to convince them to get off of Indeed.com and figure out their network and go out. It is a fascinating conversation that we try and have. Yeah, well, anybody is welcome. But usually the young people don't, they might come 2 or 3 times maybe, and then they disappear. And so I don't know what is going on, and of course it's a lot easier for them to find a job than some of the older folks, but it's hard for everybody to find a job these days.
Why is that, Scott? Why do you think the young people give up so quickly? Is it just because they don't fully understand the process or what's really needed, or why would they be so quick to just throw in the towel?
Well, I don't think they're throwing it in the towel. I think they're getting jobs. Again, because they're not looking for as much money, so that's part easier. They have maybe their placement office at school is helping. I don't know though. I mean, they come for a couple times and then disappear. Every so often I'll keep track of someone, but I don't know what's going on.
I think that they are growing up in an environment where they have to have less and less human interaction, so they probably don't see the value in
Yes,
it.
yeah.
Like, you can go to Panera, you can order your meal at a kiosk. You don't have to interact
Oh, yeah.
with the cashier. Like, you can order anything online. Like, you can get DoorDash and they just drop it off at your front door.
Yeah.
Like, there are just so many things that they can accomplish just on their computer that I think, again, like the interaction, the having the conversations is just not something that they realize the value of.
Mm-hmm. But they all know they're going to have to interview with a human being most of the time. At least at some point in the process, it's going to have to interact with a human being and not mom and dad, yeah. It's a behavioral, it's fascinating, really.
Another question, Scott. Is it structured in such a way, I remember when Mike and I were involved back years ago, that it's almost like each week each thing ran in sequence. In other words, there were certain topics that were covered, and then it would just start over again. Is that the way it's being done now, or is it different now?
It's more shotgun approach to when Jay can find a speaker and put them in on the schedule. For example, I have a presentation. I have one that I do on AI. I have one that I do on the toolbox, this 7 pieces of the toolbox that we pull out. And Jay has 2 presentations that we pull out when we can't find a speaker. We're fillers.
Gotcha.
Jane.
So the networking is 30 minutes, and then how long is the speaker?
Usually about 45 minutes, maybe a little longer. And then we'll stay, we'll stay. There's some networking afterwards of talking with the speaker. And so we're usually done. Networking starts at 6:30, presentation at 7, and we're usually done about 8 o'clock. Pappy.
Does this group have any exposure or involvement with most of the colleges I'm familiar with, or universities, have some of them extremely significant career services groups, set up internships, they work with corporations, they set their curriculum with these guys, and it's a pipeline that you kind of get into. And we've seen kids that have gone back to school that they graduated from after losing a job or doing transitions, and they were able to feed them right back into different things because they knew them, knew their training. Does that exist here, like Vanderbilt or any of those places that would have?
I think some of them do. I don't know if certainly we will always refer someone to as their alumni network or their placement office from their alma mater as one of their networking opportunities. We don't directly work with any of them. I do know when my daughter graduated from MTSU, I was shocked that MTSU didn't provide much placement support. I know when I did my master's, God, back in the dark ages, at Vanderbilt, and the way I made it through school was I worked in the placement office all during my time. But I haven't heard of colleges being as involved, but I'm sure some of them are, because it's job placement, right? It's the report card for any curriculum. So I don't know, but if you came in, one of the things we would refer you back is make sure you touch base with your alma mater or the local alumni network.
What is the job market like here?
Strange. Our speaker the other night said that the job market, or looking for a job right now, is broken. It is so strange, especially for those of us that have been around for a while and kind of used to the cadence of looking for a job. It is bizarre. And it is not easy, and you've got to somehow, in fact, I've got a quote here that she wrote the other night. In fact, Krista wrote this. She may have quoted it. It said, your story, it's about networking, to promote networking. She said, your story, your energy, and your curiosity matter. Networking lets people see what doesn't fit on a document. Every time you reach out, you're building confidence, resilience, and momentum. That is success. Whether you're entering a new industry, transitioning roles, or re-entering the workforce, your presence has merit. You deserve to be here. The next email, introduction, or conversation may be the one that shifts everything. Every touch point connection and follow-up is writing your success story. Momentum builds quietly before it becomes visible. Take hope that God has a plan for your life and future. Now, go do your part and get there. I know. It's that's why I saved it. I mean, I saw that pop up on chat, and it is so motivational. Yeah. Sir.
Y'all accept folks who
Anybody.
are in a job and look at a new job?
Yep.
They don't have to be out of one.
No. We'll take anybody. Anybody who wants to come in. Anybody who's thinking about maybe changing jobs, thinking about changing careers. You know, we'll sit and talk with people. The brainstorming, all we're doing is helping people figure out their life, pretty much like Stephen Ministry, right? It's just a very special niche of their life.
Do you help provide any kind of supportive services? For example, here's how you access unemployment, or if you need any kind of food assistance, or here's information on how you get to that.
We don't have anything formal like that, and I don't remember people asking.
Yeah, if it's not.
Yeah. No, I don't. I can't remember anybody asking for that type of help. But we would, sure, I mean, we'd help them. You know, I mean, Jay and I certainly have a heart for these people. They're in a hard place.
So the idea of the job market right now being strange, how, and I know you've got all kinds of people who come in, how do you keep people kind of positive that, yeah, I can get a job, I can find one, it may take a while, but I'll find it, and how do you?
It is, all they know is they've got a friend in us. And we'll sit and we'll talk, and we don't, let me see, what is the clean phrase? We don't shoot a bunch of BS at them. You know, all we do is just try and give them ideas. And it's not like encouraging, or it's not as overt encouragement as maybe we do with some of our care receivers here. But when the person comes in and needs it, and it's rather obvious, like this one attendee a couple weeks ago, it was, you know, I think we talked for about a half hour, 45 minutes after the meeting. And that was, you know.
I'm assuming they're all white-collar jobs, typically.
Mostly. Yeah, we do have one guy who's in a, well, no, he's white collar because it's his own company, but it's a landscaping type company, but he's trying to use his degree in psychology to get into corporate. So.
Are you starting to see people who are being displaced by, as far as their jobs?
Nothing overt. No, nobody that's come in and said, I've lost my job because of AI, right?
Okay.
There's reduction in forces all over the places, but nobody that's actually said, I was replaced because they implemented an AI platform. Now, jobs openings don't happen because of some AI now. I mean, but
It's amazing work.
it's fun. It really is. It's interesting. So.
Great job, Scott.
Pappy.
Is there a particular concentration of healthcare and music and government here, or in education, I guess those four things? What else is?
Yeah, no, it's not necessarily concentrated anywhere. It's all over the board. A lot of tech, HR, marketing. It's more of a field specific. I know when I was in finance and corporate and we do the budgeting, the HR and the marketing, it was always kind of hard to, when they wanted more help, it was always looked upon skeptically by the corner office, because showing ROI on marketing and human resources is very difficult. You could say it in your gut, understand what the need for, but to find ROI, which is what any good finance person needs to find, it's very difficult. So yes, those fields, the tech, human resources, and marketing are probably the most common. Other questions? Cool. Thank you.